Alright, what's going on, guys? Today I'll be giving my MLB DraftKings picks for Saturday, July 22nd. Got a big slate for a Saturday today. We got 13 games on the Saturday slate. Normally on Saturdays we do have like a split slate, about 7 or 8 early games and 7 or 8 night games, but pretty much all the games today are on the night slate, which is definitely good. Pitching is actually loaded today. You do have a ton of good pitchers up top and some good mid-range options as well. And then bats is pretty much the same way as well. You have a ton of good bats that are expensive that you want to pay up for, but there are also a ton of cheap stacks that I really like, a ton of value bats. So you can definitely take multiple ways. You can pay up for pitcher, then go for the value bats, or pay down at pitcher, then pay up for your bats, whichever you prefer. I'm going to be looking to pay up for pitcher today because there are really good value bats that I really like today. So that's the approach that I'm going to be taking. That's how I'm going to be looking to attack this slate. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so just looking at pitcher, like I said, I do think that paying up is one of the ways that you can definitely go on this slate. Up top, your three guys over 10K. You got Chris Archer, Rich Hill, and David Price. I really like all three of these guys. All three of them do get plus matchups. David Price gets to face the Angels. That Angels team is just not a good hitting team, but they don't really strike out enough. Don't think I'm going to be on Price today because of his salary. I just think 12,300 is a little bit too much. The Angels don't really strike out enough for him to return value on that salary. So that's the only reason I don't like Price. I do like the matchup just against the Angels. Not a good offensive team, but the strikeout matchup's not great. Then Rich Hill against Atlanta, I like that matchup. Atlanta not as good against lefties as they are righties, but they're another team that doesn't really strike out enough, so I don't think I'm going to be on Rich Hill today at 11,700. But the guy under Hill is Chris Archer, getting a matchup against the Rangers. I think if you're paying up for your pitcher today, Archer is the guy you want to take at 11,100. He gets by far one of the best strikeout matchups for right-handed pitchers. If you look at split leaderboards, the Rangers, they strike out fifth most in the league versus righties. They're striking out 23.8% of the time versus right-handed pitchers. And offensively, this team doesn't hit the ball well versus righties. They're only hitting a 239 average and a 320 WOBA. So Chris Archer is in a good spot here. He's going to be pitching at home, where we know Archer pitches a lot better at home. If you just look at his splits, he's pitched 10 games at home this year and 10 on the road. And in those 10 home games, he has averaged 23 DraftKings points, where on the road he has only averaged 18. So Archer does pitch a lot better in that ballpark, which is understandable. Tampa Bay, their ballpark is very pitcher-friendly. So I absolutely love Chris Archer today. Like I said, I think if you pay up for pitcher, he's the guy that you want to take. He's just in a good spot. He's a heavy favorite. Vegas is expecting the Rangers to not score a lot of runs here. They're only implied to score 3.6 runs. And Archer, he's a minus 192 favorite. So he's in a great spot. Vegas is expecting him to pitch well. I definitely think he's going to be able to get a win with Andrew Cashner on the opposing mound. I do like a Rays stack today. I think Cashner's not good. You can definitely stack up those Rays bats. They should be able to give Archer some run and support. So he has all those things going in his favor, and he also has a great history against this team as well. The Rangers have seen Archer they've had 97 at bats against him, and they've only gotten 20 hits, so they're only hitting a 206 average versus Archer. And Archer, he has gotten a ton of strikeouts versus them in the past. In those 97 at bats, the Rangers have struck him out 36 times, which is over a 30% K rate, close to 40% actually. So Archer, he has struck out this team a ton when he has faced them. He's just in a great spot here. The price tag is nice as well. I definitely think if you're paying up, he's the guy you want. I like Price and Hill today, but I don't think their strikeout matchups are really good. So that's why I'm looking to go to Chris Archer. He has great upside here. I definitely think he's safe for cash games. Playing in that ballpark is going to help him out a ton. That ballpark's so pitcher friendly. So I absolutely love Chris Archer today, and I'm going to be locking him in as my SP1 at 11,100. And since we did pay up for Archer, going to go to the mid-range for our SP2. I think there's a clear-cut SP2 that just stands out to me as being too cheap. And that's Shawn Minaya, just 6,600, getting a matchup against the Mets. I absolutely love Shawn Minaya today as my SP2. He is just too cheap for this matchup. He should not be 6,600, getting to face the Mets in that stadium in the National League. Minaya has pitched very well this season. He really hadn't gotten the credit that he deserves. And his price tag doesn't really reflect on how well he's pitched this year. Just 6,600, that's a great value. I absolutely love Shawn Minaya today as my SP2 with that cheap price. If you just look at the matchup, it's a really good matchup. The Mets do strike out a lot versus left-handed pitching. So far this year, they're striking out 10th most in the league. They strike out 22.9% of the time versus lefties. And offensively, this team's about average versus lefties. They're hitting a 253 average and a 323 WOBA versus lefties, which is about middle of the pack. So I don't think Minaya has much to worry about here. A lot of the Mets, pretty much all their good hitters are left-handed besides Cespedes. So Minaya will be able to face a bunch of lefties, which always favors him. He definitely has a great chance to get strikeouts against those lefties. So I absolutely love Shawn Minaya today. Going to the National League, he'll get to face the opposing pitcher and pitching in New York. That is a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. So I really like Shawn Minaya today as my SP2, and I want to be locking him in at 6,600. When you plug in Archer and Minaya as your two pitchers, that still leaves you over 4K remaining per player. So you have some really good salary to work with. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there are a lot of good value bats I like today. So I definitely think you can pay up for your pitcher today and look towards some of these value bats that I like. So the first guy that I like for value is a guy at first base, a guy that I think is just too cheap for his matchup. That's Miguel Cabrera at just 3,700, getting a matchup against Kyle Gibson. Mickey is just too cheap today for this matchup. Kyle Gibson, he's pretty much a gas can. This dude's just not good. If you look at run totals, the Tigers have a very high run total today. They're implied to score 5.3 runs, which is very high. So Kyle Gibson, or Vegas, they're not expecting Gibson to pitch well here, and I don't think he is. If you just look at the numbers, Kyle Gibson is not good versus lefties or righties. So far this year, versus righties, he's given up a 388 WOBA, and this guy also gives up a lot of home runs, a 1.84 home run per 9 so far this year to right-handed hitters. And then hard contact, Gibson is also getting hit very hard versus righties and lefties. So far this year versus righties, he's given up a 46.4% medium contact and 37.8% hard contact. So Mickey has he's in a great spot here against Gibson. The dude just isn't good. He doesn't strike anybody out. I absolutely love Miguel Cabrera today for value at first base. He is too cheap at 3,700. Miguel Cabrera should not be this cheap, and especially given the matchup. I think Miguel Cabrera, great value play today at first base. I'm going to be locking him in at 3,700. And then for my final two plays, we're going to be going to the outfield. Two mid-range sort of value plays I like here. And the first guy that I like is Josh Reddick, just 4,300, getting a matchup against Chris Tillman. I really like Josh Reddick today if you're looking towards the mid-range at outfield. I love the Astros just as a team. Chris Tillman, another guy that's just not good. And we know the Astros are pretty much the most dangerous offense in the majors. So they should definitely be able to put up some runs today. And I like getting a piece of that offense with Josh Reddick at just 4,300. If you just look into the numbers, Chris Tillman, not a good pitcher, gives it up to lefties and righties. So far this year, versus left-handed hitters, he has given up a 417 WOBA. And Tillman is another guy that gives up a lot of home runs. He does give up more home runs to righties, 2.30 home run per 9 to righties, but the lefties, he does give up home runs to lefties as well, 1.14 home run per 9 to lefties. And then hard contact, Tillman is another guy that's just been getting hit very hard this year, 48.9% medium contact, and 31.8% hard contact to left-handed hitters. So Josh Reddick's in a great spot here. The Astros, just as a team, are in a great spot. I believe they do have one of the highest team totals on this slate. Besides the Coors Field game, the Astros, I think, have the third highest total. So definitely consider them as a stack. It's definitely going to be expensive, but you do have some cheap bats in here. Just looking through their lineup, like I said, you got Reddick at 4.3, Brian McCann's 3.8, Beltran only 4.1, Gurriel's only 3.9. So you do have some value bats you can target through that lineup if you don't want to pay up for the expensive guys like Springer and Altuve. So I love the Astros today, and I love getting a piece of their offense with Josh Reddick at just 4,300. Really like him if you're looking for an outfield mid-range play. And then my final play at outfield, value play I like here, a guy under 4K, and that's Corey Dickerson at just 3,900, getting a matchup against Andrew Cashner. This is another stack that I really like today, another cheap stack, and that's the Rays. They're in a great spot here against Andrew Cashner. Andrew Cashner, just not a good pitcher. He's gotten very lucky this year. Cashner has been getting hit very hard this year, so the Rays are in a great spot. And if you just look through their lineup, all their hitters are very cheap. Steven Souza, he's projected about leadoff. He's only 4.1. Dickerson, like I said, is only 3.9. Evan Longoria is only 3.8. Morrison, 4.2. Ramos, if you need a cheap catcher, he's only 3.2. So the Rays are another good stack that I really like today. I definitely like that 2-3-4 with Dickerson, Longoria, and Morrison. I really like that mini stack. I will probably have that in a lineup or two. I think the Rays are in a great spot here against Cashner. Like I said, Cashner is another guy that just gets hit very hard versus lefties and righties. So far this year versus lefties, he's given up a 52.6% medium contact and 32.3% hard contact to lefties. And then to righties, 50.6% medium contact and 27.6% hard contact, which isn't as great. He does get hit a lot harder versus lefties. So I do like the lefties a little bit more. Dickerson and Morrison, those are the two guys that really stand out to me. So if you need a cheap stack today, consider the Rays. They're in a great spot against Cashner. He's just not a good pitcher, and he gives it up. So I like getting some exposure to their offense with Corey Dickerson at just $3,900. Really like that price tag on him given the matchup. And yeah, guys, so these are my 5 plays for tonight. I went with Chris Archer, Shawn Minaya, Miguel Cabrera, Josh Reddick, and Corey Dickerson. When you plug these 5 guys in your lineup, that still leaves you an average of $4K remaining per player. So you have some really good salary to work with. You can definitely build around this 5 and make a lineup around this 5. Or if you want to get my full lineups, be sure to follow me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. My lineups are $5 a day, or you can get a weekly lineups for $25. So message me on Twitter if you are interested in that. Or if you just have any questions about the slate or need to ask me something, you can contact me on Twitter as well at the DFS_GOAT. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. If this is your first time on my channel, please be sure to subscribe. I do upload these videos pretty much every day, so I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And if you never want to miss out on any videos, if you scroll down to where the subscribe button is, there is a bell icon. If you click that bell icon, that'll notify you every time I upload. So be sure to do that as well if you never want to miss out on any videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Good luck tonight, guys. Peace.